The GSS Aurora was huge, really huge. It was like a small city floating in space. Students from 47 different star systems lived on the ship. They were all here for the Galactic exchange program. They would spend 1 year learning about each other's worlds. Li Kai stood at his small window and watched the stars. He was 19 years old and came from Earth. Earth was what other aliens called a death world. Li Kai didn't understand why they called it that. Earth seemed normal to him. "Hey, Death Worlder," shouted Veltar from across the common room. Veltar was an Altarian. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that looked like silver. "Want to try the combat simulator again? Maybe this time you won't crash in the first minute." Other alien students laughed. They always laughed when humans used the combat simulators. Humans always seemed to make mistakes. They moved too fast, took too many risks, and broke things. Li Kai walked over to the simulator. "Sure," he said quietly. "This should be fun," whispered Zix to his friend. Zix was from Ballora. He looked like a giant insect with shiny green skin. The Ballorians were famous for being smart with numbers. "I calculated that humans fail 78% of the time. They're just not very advanced," said Quell. Quell was a void-born, made of pure energy. She glowed purple and could float in the air. "Their technology is so simple." Li Kai sat in the simulator chair. The test started. It was a space battle. Enemy ships appeared on all sides. Li Kai's fingers moved fast on the controls. Crash! His ship hit an asteroid. "Ha! Told you." Veltar clapped his 4 hands. Humans are too reckless. They never think before they act. Li Kai got out of the chair without saying anything. He walked back to his window. Park Hana was in the communications room. She was 20 years old, also from Earth. She was practicing with the advanced alien communication systems. These systems could send messages across whole star systems in seconds. "Your technique is all wrong," said Trilix, a student from Proxima. Trilix had blue skin with patterns that moved like waves. "You're trying to force the signal. You should guide it gently." Park Hana nodded. She tried again. The message went through, but it was slow and noisy. "See?" Trilix shook her head. "Humans always try to push harder instead of being smarter. That's why your world is just a death world." "What do you mean by that?" Park Hana asked. "Death worlds are planets where everything tries to kill you," explained Vorth, a student shaped like a walking crystal. "Dangerous animals, bad weather, poison in the air. Only the strongest survive. It makes people rough. And not very smart," added Trilix, smiling. Park Hana kept practicing. She didn't say anything back. In the engineering bay, Kim Juno was working on a broken energy converter. He was only 18, the youngest human on the ship. His hands moved carefully as he took apart the machine. "You're doing it wrong," said Mesh, who looked like a walking tree with metal parts. "This is delicate Chloranian technology. You can't just pull it apart like that." "But it's not working," Kim Juno said simply. "If I take out this part and connect it here—" "No!" Mesh grabbed his arm. "You'll break it completely." Kim Juno stopped. "Sorry," he said. "I just wanted to help." "Humans," muttered Gleek, a small furry alien. "They think they can fix anything by hitting it harder." That evening, all the students ate together in the big dining hall. Each species sat at their own table. The humans sat together too. Li Kai, Park Hana, Kim Juno, and 5 others. "Today was hard," Park Hana said quietly. "They think we're stupid," added Kim Juno. "Maybe we are," said Minho, another human student. "Look at us. We can't use their simulators right. We can't operate their technology properly. We can't even send a simple message without problems." Li Kai looked around the room. At the Altarian table, Veltar was probably talking about winning all the combat tests. At the Bellorian table, Zix was surely calculating something complex. The Voidborn students floated above their seats discussing advanced science. "They're all specialists," Li Kai said slowly. "Altarians are great at fighting. Bellorians are great at thinking. Voidborn are great with technology. So what are humans great at?" asked Yunji. a human girl who studied art. Nobody answered. The next day, Captain Zerion made an announcement. Captain Zerion was a Zephyrian with silver scales and 6 eyes. His voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Attention all students. We have received new orders. The ship will join a military operation called Clean Slate. We are going to help stop the Ravager fleet. These pirates have been attacking peaceful traders. The students buzzed with excitement. This was real, not just simulators and practice. All students will be assigned to observe different parts of the mission, the captain continued. This is a learning opportunity. Do not be afraid. You will be safe. Our crew is experienced. After the announcement, the alien students gathered in groups. They talked excitedly about the mission. Finally, some real action. Veltar said, I wonder if they'll let us use real weapons. The Ravagers are dangerous, Zix calculated quickly. But we should be fine. The GSS Aurora has the best shields and weapons. Plus, we outnumber them. This will be interesting, Quell hummed. I've never seen a real space battle. The human students sat quietly. They didn't talk much about the coming battle. You humans look scared, laughed Trilix. Are you worried about seeing real combat? We're not scared, Li Kai said calmly. Sure you're not? Veltar grinned with all 4 arms crossed. Just remember, this isn't your death world. This is real space combat. You might want to stay in your rooms when the fighting starts. More laughter came from the alien students. 2 days later, the assignments came out. Each student would go to a different ship in the fleet. They would watch and learn how space battles really worked. Li Kai was assigned to the combat ship Striker. Park Hana would go to the communications vessel network. Kim Juno was put on the engineering ship Builder. I got the command ship Galaxy, Veltar announced proudly. I'll be right in the center of the action. I'm on the calculation ship Logic. Zix clicked happily. Perfect for my skills. The technology ship Future for me. Quell glowed brighter. As expected, the human students just nodded. They didn't brag about their assignments. As they prepared to leave for their ships, Li Kai overheard 2 Balorian students talking. I feel sorry for the ships that got the humans, one said. Yes, agreed the other. They'll probably just get in the way. Deathworlders don't understand proper tactics. Well, the first one said, at least they'll learn something. If they survive. They clicked their mandibles in what passed for Balorian laughter. Park Hana packed her small bag. Earth clothes, a picture of her family, and a small plant from the ship's garden. As she walked to the shuttle bay, she thought about home. Earth with its storms, earthquakes, and wild animals. Maybe other aliens were right. Maybe it was a death world. Kim Juno checked his tools one last time. Simple tools. That looked rough compared to alien equipment. His grandfather had given him these tools. His grandfather had fixed things during Earth's big war. Sometimes, his grandfather had said, simple things work better. Li Kai stood at his window one last time. Tomorrow, they would leave for the ships. Tomorrow, they would see real combat. He wondered if the aliens were right. Were humans really just deathworlders who didn't understand real fighting? A red light flashed. All students report to stations. Departure in 6 hours. The exchange program was about to become something else. Something real. Something dangerous. None of them knew that everything was about to change. The aliens thought they knew what humans were. The humans thought they knew too. They were all wrong. The war was about to begin, and the humans from the death world would shock everyone, including themselves. The shuttle took Li Kai to the combat ship Striker. As he stepped off, he saw human soldiers everywhere. Real soldiers, not students. They moved differently than the humans on the exchange ship. Their eyes were always watching. Their hands never stopped moving, checking weapons and equipment. You're the exchange student? Asked Commander Park. She was a small woman with scars on her hands. Stay close. Don't touch anything unless I tell you. The Striker was different from the Aurora. Everything was simple but strong. The walls had scratches and dents. The equipment looked old but worked perfectly. Why does everything look so used? Lee Kai asked. Commander Park smiled. Because we actually use it. Come on, we have work to do. On the communication ship network, Park Hana watched the human crew. They didn't use the fancy alien equipment, instead they used simple radio systems. Multiple radios, lots of backup systems. Why don't you use the quantum communicators? She asked Lieutenant Kim. Too complex, he said, adjusting a dial. What happens when they break in the middle of a fight? Can you fix a quantum communicator with spare parts? Park Hana thought about this. No, I can't. Exactly. But I can fix 3 radios with parts from 1 broken radio. On the engineering shipbuilder, Kim Juno was amazed. The humans there didn't build things perfectly. They built things that could be fixed. Everything had extra parts, backup systems, and simple tools nearby. Chief Engineer Cho showed him around. See this engine? He pointed to a large machine. It's not the fastest or most efficient, but when it breaks, anyone can fix it, even in the middle of space with no spare parts. How? Kim Juno asked. We design things to break in ways we can fix, Cho grinned. Smart, right? Meanwhile, the alien students were impressed with their ships. Veltar stood on the bridge of the command ship Galaxy. Everything was clean, perfect, and advanced. Magnificent, he said to the Altarian captain. This ship is a work of art. Indeed, Captain Zorel nodded. The finest technology in the galaxy. We rarely lose with ships like this. On the Logic, Zix watched the Balorian computers calculate battle plans. Numbers flowed across screens faster than eyes could follow. The probability of success is 97%, announced the ship's computer. The Ravagers cannot win against our superior technology. Quell floated on the technology ship Future. The Voidborn crew showed her their latest weapons. Energy. Beams so powerful they could destroy a whole ship in one shot. Beautiful, she hummed. Pure, efficient destruction. 3 days later, the Ravager fleet appeared. 20 big ships, painted black with red marks. They looked dangerous and mean. All ships. This is Admiral Chen on the Aurora, came the message. We are beginning Operation Clean Slate. All student observers, pay attention. You're about to see real space combat. Admiral Chen was human. This surprised the alien students. They had expected an Altarian or Voidborn admiral. Someone advanced. Why did they put a human in charge? Veltar whispered to the Altarian captain. Politics, the captain shrugged. Don't worry. We'll do the real fighting. The battle plan was strange. Instead of the big ships fighting first, hundreds of small ships moved forward. They looked like civilian transport ships, not military vessels. Those aren't warships, Zix calculated quickly. They're converted passenger ferries. Humans are using coaches? Trilix asked in confusion. That's insane. On the network, Park Hana heard the communications. The small ships weren't talking like military units, they chattered like civilian pilots. Hey, Kim's cargo, you see those bad guys? Yeah, Lee's transport. Want a race? Sure. Last one there buys drinks. They're not serious, Park Hana said. They're talking like it's a game. Lieutenant Kim smiled. Wait and see. The first battle was a disaster. The small human ships flew straight at the Ravagers. They moved like drunk people. No formation, no strategy. The Ravagers laughed and fired. Boom. 10 human ships exploded. What are they doing? Veltar shouted. That's not how you fight. More human ships died. They seemed to be flying randomly. Some crashed into each other. Others just spun in circles. I calculate total human failure, Zix reported. This is a massacre. The Ravagers moved closer. They thought this would be easy. Then something strange happened. As the Ravager ships moved forward, they passed through the area where human ships had died. Suddenly, explosions came from nowhere. 3 Ravager ships vanished. What was that? The Ravager leader screamed. On the builder, Kim Juno watched Chief Cho work. Did you see that? Kim asked. Those human ships that got destroyed. Weren't destroyed, Cho finished. They left mines behind, mines that looked like ship parts. But I saw them explode. You saw the outer shell explode. The crew escaped in small pods. The ships became bombs on a timer. Kim Juno's mouth opened. The ships were meant to be sacrificed? Not sacrificed. Transformed. Park Hana began to understand something. The crazy chatter she heard wasn't random. It was code. Kim's cargo meant ship number 7. Race U meant attack formation beta. Last one there meant hold position for 30 seconds. The humans were talking in normal words, but each word meant something else. Li Kai watched the second wave of human ships. They moved differently now, still chaotic to outside eyes, but Li began to see patterns. Ships that seemed to run away were actually setting up ambushes. Ships that crashed together were sharing fuel or weapons. They're not running, he whispered. They're swarming. Commander Park nodded. You're learning. The alien ships finally joined the battle. They moved perfectly. Clean formations, efficient attacks, maximum firepower. It was beautiful to watch, and it was completely predictable. The Ravagers knew how to fight this way. They set up defensive positions and waited. When the alien ships attacked in perfect formation, the Ravagers were ready. Boom, boom, boom. 3 alien ships took heavy damage. This is impossible, Veltar shouted. We have better technology. Better technology alone isn't enough, the Altarian captain said grimly. They know our tactics too well. But the human ships kept being weird. A cargo ship suddenly sprouted weapons and attacked from behind. A passenger bus split open and deployed fighters. A transport ship turned itself into a guided missile. This is insane, Zix clicked frantically. I can't calculate their next move because they don't follow any logical pattern. Quell was confused too. Their tactics make no sense. It's like they're making it up as they go. That was exactly what they were doing. On the network, Park Hana heard Admiral Chen's voice. All coaches remember, there is no plan. Adapt, improvise, make trouble. No. Plan. The humans had no plan. How can you fight without a plan? Park Hana asked. Lieutenant Kim grinned. We have something better than a plan. We have experience. As the battle continued, more strange things happened. Human ships used their own destroyed vessels as shields. They fired weapons in directions that seemed wrong. But the shots bounced off debris to hit targets. When their big weapons ran out of power, they used small ones in unexpected ways. They turned supply ships into weapons, and weapons into shields. The Ravagers grew frustrated. Every time they figured out what the humans were doing, the humans did something different. They're not fighting, the Ravager leader screamed. They're playing. Admiral Chen's voice came over all channels. Second wave, begin the herding. Herding? What did that mean? The human ships began to run away, but they ran in specific directions. Slowly, the Ravagers found themselves pushed into a small area of space. It's a trap, Li Kai realized. They're being herded like animals. Like animals on Earth, Commander Park agreed. We learned this from watching predators hunt on our death world. The alien ships tried to help, but they couldn't adapt fast enough. They were trained for one kind of fighting. When that didn't work, they were lost. But the humans had trained for any kind of fighting. Humans, Veltar said slowly, were never trying to win the fights at the Academy. No, agreed Zix. They were trying to learn how to lose, and keep fighting anyway. As the first day of battle ended, the scores were surprising. Alien ships, much damage, pulled back to repair human ships. Many destroyed, but the rest were still fighting Ravager ships, confused, angry, and starting to make mistakes. That night, the alien students couldn't sleep. Everything they thought they knew about fighting was wrong. The humans aren't fighting like soldiers, Quell said. They're fighting like survivors. Park Hana finished. Tomorrow will be different, Veltar said. The Ravagers will be ready for human tricks. Li Kai heard this and smiled. That's what we're counting on. The coach war had begun, and the humans were just getting started. The second day of battle started strangely. The human ships didn't attack. They just sat there, floating in space like broken toys. What are they doing? Veltar asked the Altarian captain. They're just waiting to die. On the logic, Zix's computers worked overtime. I don't understand the pattern, he clicked nervously. Yesterday they were chaotic. Today they're doing nothing. The Ravager leader was happy. Good. They learned their lesson. All ships move forward. Destroy them while they're helpless. But Li Kai wasn't worried. On the Striker, he watched Commander Park calmly drinking tea. Shouldn't we be fighting? He asked. We are fighting, she said. We're just not shooting yet. I don't understand. Commander Park smiled. You will. As the Ravagers moved closer, something happened. The human ships that looked broken suddenly came alive. But they didn't just turn on, they exploded outward. Each ship split into dozens of smaller pieces. What? In the void? The Ravager leader screamed. Those pieces weren't debris. They were small attack pods painted to look like wreckage. Inside each pod was a human pilot with a simple weapon. It's a shell game, Park Hana realized on the network. Like the old Earth trick. Which cup has the ball? The Ravagers tried to shoot the pods, but there were too many. And the pods were fast. They zoomed around like angry insects. This is impossible. Zix calculated frantically. The number of variables is beyond computation. The real surprise came next. The Ravagers thought they were fighting ships, but they weren't. They were fighting space itself. Admiral, came a voice over the radio. The debris field is ready. Debris field? What debris field? Then Li Kai understood. All those crashed human ships from yesterday. All those floating metal pieces, they weren't just floating randomly. They had been placed, carefully, with purpose. It's a maze, he whispered. They built a maze in space. Commander Park nodded. Every piece of wreckage from yesterday's battle was positioned. We knew exactly where it would drift. The Ravager ships found themselves trapped. When they tried to move left, human mines exploded. When they moved right, hidden human fighters attacked. When they moved forward, they hit barriers made from old ship parts. It's like a trap, Veltar said in amazement. They turned the whole battlefield into a trap. But that wasn't all. Park Hana listened to the human communications. Instead of the casual chatter from yesterday, now she heard precision. Echo 7, lighting up Sector 4 in 3, 2, 1. Flash. A giant explosion lit up space. Whisper team, your turn. Mirror the pattern. Another explosion exactly like the first. They're making the Ravagers dance, she said in wonder. Every move the Ravagers make, the humans are ready for it. On the builder, Kim Juno watched in amazement as Chief Cho worked. The engineering ship wasn't just fixing broken human vessels, it was building new ones, using parts from destroyed Ravager ships. How is this possible? Kim asked. You're using their own metal against them? Everything is material, Cho explained, welding two pieces together. Enemy ship, friendly ship, asteroid, garbage, all the same to an engineer. You just have to see what it can become. The alien ships tried to join the battle again, but they couldn't. Their perfect formation tactics didn't work in this maze of floating debris. Their advanced computers couldn't calculate safe paths through the chaos. We're blocked, Veltar shouted. The debris field prevents us from forming proper attack lines. That's the point, the Altarian captain said quietly. They've changed the battlefield itself. We can't fight the way we're trained to fight. Meanwhile, the human ships moved through the debris like fish swimming upstream. They knew where every piece of metal was. They had put it there. How do they navigate so easily? Quell asked, floating nervously. Because they made this maze, her Voidborn mentor explained. They know every path because they built every path. The Ravagers were getting desperate. Their leader screamed orders, break through the debris, ram through it. But when Ravager ships hit the debris, something terrible happened. The metal pieces weren't just obstacles. They were connected. When one piece moved, 10 others moved with it. The whole field shifted like a living thing. It's like a spider web, Li Kai said. Touch one thread, and the whole web responds. Exactly, Commander Park agreed. We learned this from spiders on Earth, and from fishermen with nets, and from hunters with snares. Everything was connected, every trap depended on every other trap. When the Ravagers tried to escape one problem, they created 3 new problems. On the network, Parkhana finally understood something. "You never planned to win the first day," she said to Lieutenant Kim. "No," he agreed. "We planned to lose. Specifically, carefully. Every ship we lost was placed exactly where we wanted it. But people died." "Yes," Lieutenant Kim's face was sad. "That's what Deathworlders understand. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the few to save the many. Earth taught us this lesson many times." The battle reached its peak. Ravager ships fired, desperately in all directions. But every shot that missed became part of the human plan. The energy from missed shots hit mirrors placed on old hull pieces. The mirrors bounced the energy to other mirrors. Soon the Ravagers' own weapons were being used against them. "They're using our attacks as weapons," the Ravager leader screamed. "Of course," Admiral Chen's calm voice came over all frequencies. "Waste nothing. Use everything. That's what you learn on a death world." Veltar watched in shock as a Ravager flagship tried to escape, but it flew right into a cloud of what looked like empty space. Suddenly, that empty space exploded. It had been full of old ship hulls painted black, invisible until they moved. "Camouflage," he whispered. "They made ships invisible by making them look like space itself." "How?" he asked the Altarian captain. "Because humans are predators," the captain said slowly. "On their world, everything hunts or gets hunted. They learn to hide, to blend, to wait, and to strike when the enemy doesn't expect it." Zix's computers finally stopped working. "Error, error. Cannot compute human behavior. Behavior is beyond logical parameters." "Maybe that's the point," he said to himself. "Maybe they're not trying to be logical." On the future, Quell watched human ships do impossible things. They fired backward while flying forward. They used their gravity generators to fling debris at enemies. They connected cables between ships and spun like a giant sling. "They're not using technology correctly," she said. "No," her mentor agreed. "They're using it creatively. There's a difference." As the second day ended, the Ravagers were in chaos. Half their ships were trapped in the debris field. The other half couldn't reach their trapped friends. And the humans kept appearing and disappearing like ghosts. That night, the alien students gathered on the Aurora. They were no longer laughing at humans. "I was wrong," Veltar said quietly. "I thought they were just bad at fighting." "We all were," Zix agreed. "But they're not bad. They're different." "They don't fight to win," Parkhana said. "They fight to survive. And if you survive long enough, you win." "But how did they know?" Veltar asked. "How did they know what the Ravagers would do?" Li Kai thought about this. They didn't know. They prepared for everything. No matter what the Ravagers did, the humans were ready. "That's impossible," Zix protested. "You can't prepare for everything." "You can if you grew up on Earth," Kim Juno said. "On Earth, everything can kill you. Weather, animals, diseases, accidents. You learn to expect the unexpected. And you learn that the best plan is to have no plan," Parkhana added. "Just be ready to adapt." Quell glowed brighter as she understood. "You turned your weakness into strength. Being from a death world made you stronger, not weaker." "Every world makes its people strong in different ways," Li Kai said. "Your worlds made you specialists. Earth made us survivors." On the third morning, the final phase began. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through space. "All Ravager ships, you are surrounded. You are outmatched. You can surrender now, or we can continue this dance for another week. Your choice." The Ravager leader looked around. His fleet was trapped in a web of debris and hidden weapons. His ships were damaged and exhausted. The humans had been playing with them. "How?" he asked over open radio. "How did Deathworlders beat us?" Admiral Chen's answer was simple. "Because this is what we do. We survive what kills others. We adapt to what breaks others. And we never ever give up." The Ravagers surrendered, but that wasn't the end. That was just the beginning. The alien students had seen something impossible. Humans, primitive Deathworlders, had defeated a feared pirate fleet. They would never look at humans the same way again. 1 month after the Ravager surrendered, everything had changed. The GSS Aurora was different now. Human students no longer sat alone at their table. Alien students asked them questions. Lots of questions. "Explain that thing you did with the mirrors," Feltar asked Li Kai eagerly. "How did you make the energy bounce?" "It's not hard," Li Kai said. "Just angle equals angle. Basic physics." "But why did you think of it?" Li Kai shrugged. "On Earth, we use mirrors to signal for help. Sunlight, reflected off a mirror, can be seen from far away. Same idea, different use." Zix had started doing something new. His calculations now included a factor called human variables. These were for things that didn't follow normal logic. "I'm learning to calculate the impossible," he told Kim Juno. "It's harder than regular math." "Maybe that's the point," Kim smiled. "If it was easy, everyone could do it." In the combat simulators, things were different too. The alien students still did better at the standard tests. But now they had new tests, survival tests, adaptation tests, broken rules tests. In these new tests, humans always won. "Why?" Veltar asked after losing another survival simulation. "How do you always know what to do when everything goes wrong?" "Because everything always goes wrong on Earth," Parkana explained. "We grew up expecting problems. The alien students wanted to visit Earth. The death world didn't sound scary anymore. It sounded interesting." "Can we see where you learned all this?" Quell asked, glowing with curiosity. "Sure," Li Kai said. "But bring good boots, and maybe a helmet." Commander Park came to speak to the students. She explained how Earth shaped human thinking. "Other worlds are predictable," she said. "Stable weather, few predators, safe environments. Your people became specialists because your worlds let them. Earth is not predictable," she continued. "Every day brings new dangers. Earthquakes, storms, volcanoes, floods, animals that hunt humans, plants that are poisonous. Our world tried to kill us every day." "So you adapted," Veltar said. "We had to. Those who couldn't adapt died. Only the adaptable ones lived to have children. After millions of years, we became very good at adapting." This made sense to the alien students. Now they understood why humans seemed so strange. Chief Engineer Cho visited too. He brought examples of human engineering. "See this tool?" He held up a simple wrench. "It can be a wrench, a hammer, a lever, a weight, or a weapon. One tool, many uses." He showed them alien tools. Each tool was perfect for one job. But only one job. "Your tools are better than ours for their specific purpose," Cho admitted. "But our tools can do more things. When you're stuck in space with limited supplies, that matters." The alien students began requesting cross-training with humans. They wanted to learn adaptability. Admiral Chen started a new program, flexible tactics training. Alien officers could learn from humans. Human officers could learn from aliens. "The best military combines all strengths," the Admiral explained. "Altarian precision, Balorian calculation, void-born technology, and human adaptability." "But Admiral," Veltar asked, "why didn't you tell us about human abilities before?" Admiral Chen smiled. "Would you have believed us? You had to see it for yourselves." 6 months later, the first joint graduation happened. Human and alien students had trained together. They had learned from each other. Li Kai now knew Altarian battle plans. Veltar could think like a human survivor. Park Hana used void-born technology but with human creativity. Quell had learned to break her own rules when needed. "We're better together," Kim Juno said at the ceremony. "Humans can't do everything. Neither can any single species. But together," Zix clicked, "we can handle anything." The graduation included a demonstration, a simulated battle where mixed crews fought against the computer. Human-alien teams won every time. "Why do mixed teams work so well?" a young Chloranian student asked. "Because humans cover alien weaknesses," Park Hana explained, "and aliens cover human weaknesses." What are human weaknesses? Veltar asked, curious. We're not the best at anything specific, Li Kai admitted. Altarians are better fighters. Balorians are smarter. Voidborn have better technology. But you're good enough at everything, Quell said, and that's more useful than we thought. The Coach War became famous throughout the galaxy. Military academies studied it. The key lesson was written on classroom walls. Specialization makes experts. Adaptation makes survivors. Victory needs both. New ships were designed based on human ideas. They called them flex ships. These ships could change their purpose based on what was needed. It's like a Swiss Army knife in space, Cho explained to the engineering students. More importantly, the way aliens thought about humans changed. Earth was still called a death world, but now that was said with respect, not insult. Death world graduates, aliens would say. They're the ones you want with you when everything goes wrong. Tourism to Earth started. Aliens came to see the world that made humans so adaptive. They were amazed by the variety of dangers. Your planet actively tries to harm you, said a visiting Proximan. How do you sleep at night? Very carefully, joked a human guide. And with one eye open. Some aliens even requested to train on Earth. They wanted to learn survival skills. We'll start you easy, human instructor said. A nice, simple volcano. Volcano? The alien squeaked. That's easy? The exchange program expanded. Now it included Earth survival training and Death World experience. Most aliens lasted 3 days before asking to go home. It's not that. We can't survive, explained a returning Altarian. It's that surviving takes all our energy. Humans do it while also building cities and making art. That's because it's normal for us, Li Kai said. You can't imagine being surprised by everything because you live in predictable places. And you can't imagine living without surprises because Earth never stops surprising you, added Park Hana. But the best change was personal. The Korean students were no longer the quiet ones in the corner. They were teachers, leaders, and friends. Kim Juno designed a new spacesuit using human adaptability principles. It could be repaired with common materials and modified for different environments. Park Hana created a communication system that worked in any situation. It had backups, workarounds, and patches. It never completely failed. Li Kai became an instructor in impossible tactics. He taught alien students how to break their own rules when necessary. The most important lesson, he told his first class, is that there are no unbreakable rules. Everything can be adapted. 5 years after the Coach War, the galaxy was more peaceful. Not because there were no more conflicts, but because mixed crews handled problems better. Human adaptability helped alien specialists. Alien expertise guided human creativity. Together, they solved problems neither could handle alone. The 3 Korean students met for dinner on the anniversary of the Coach War. Remember when they called us primitive? Park Hana laughed. Remember when we believed them, Kim Juno added. The funny thing is, Li Kai said thoughtfully, we are primitive. We still use simple tools, make basic plans, and try things that shouldn't work. But that's our strength, Park Hana nodded. Being simple means being flexible. Being primitive means being ready for anything, Kim Juno agreed. They raised their glasses in a toast. To death worlds, Li Kai said. To adaptation, Park Hana added. To proving everyone wrong, Kim Juno finished. And to proving everyone right, said a new voice. They turned. It was Veltar, Zix, and Quell, the alien friends from the exchange program. You were right, Veltar said. Death worlds make the best allies. And the best teachers, Zix clicked, and the best friends, Quell glowed softly. They all sat together. Human and alien. Students who had become teachers. Outside the window, ships from many worlds flew in formation. Human designs improved with alien technology. Alien tactics made flexible with human creativity. The Coach War was over, but its lessons continued. In the galaxy, a new saying became popular. When everything breaks, call the humans. When everything works, thank everyone else. When everything changes, trust that someone knows how to adapt. The Death World had given the galaxy its greatest gift. The knowledge that survival isn't just about being strong. Sometimes, it's about being impossible to break. And that's exactly what humans were. The end. In chaos, we trust. In adaptation, we triumph. Official motto of the Galactic Mixed Fleet Academy.